If I remember correctly, I believe your opponent is the incumbent, and the first name escapes me, but obviously the last name is Gibbons.
That is Jim Gibbons. And, you know, let me tell you, I'll back up, tell you that Jim Gibbons and I have been friends for a long time, but if we want to keep a conservative voice in this state, I have to step up because he is not reelectable at this time. You know, what's interesting is we have a very conservative state. There's currently, you know, the mix, the voter registration between Democrats and Republicans doesn't necessarily reflect how conservative this state really is. We really do have a conservative state, and we have a conservative governor in place, but he's not executing well. He hasn't been able to carry out a conservative plan. Tell you that I've been on the phone and out making the tour of the of basically the operatives here in this state. Everything from the Republican men's clubs and women's clubs to the state and county party officials, and the plan continues moving forward. We still believe that there's going to be quite a Republican resurgence in the state.
How would you define your own personal political philosophy insofar as what your aims and goals are?
Well, I tell you what, let me take it back a few years. And I'm going to use a word that some people find fascinating, but if you take it all the way back to the founding of this country, we had basically two groups of people. We had the conservatives, and those were the bad guys. That meant preservation of the monarchy. And then we had the smartest people, literally a group of the smartest, most well-educated people that the world has ever seen. I really don't believe that before that or since then have we had a group of people who had that many books at their fingertips, that much history at their fingertips, and that much desire to do something right. And they were the educated group, and they were called the liberals, because liberal literally means educated. And they put together an incredible plan, and that's my political philosophy, is the same plan they put together. Of course, what happened is, like any good political movement, once they created the documents that created this country, they had to become then conservatives to preserve the new country that they created, and then somebody else stole that name, liberals, and they are no longer the smartest people in the world. And so when you look to say, what's my political philosophy? To be as educated, as informed, and to make as good a decisions as those people who created this country, and to preserve what they created. And I want to tell you this. Let me tell you a quick story. That's what I get to do on the radio or on the air today, right? Mm-hmm. Is we're not alone in this. I want to tell you a great thing. This is just, revitalizes you. I was speaking to a group of high school seniors the other day, and one of them raised their hand, and this was at a public school that is performing very, very well in the state under the empowerment system. And one of the very few that's under the empowerment system. And one of the high school seniors raised their hand and said, "Tell me what you think of the No Child Left Behind program." Well, as a speaker, you're standing in front of a couple hundred people, both students and teachers, and you get the feeling, is this a trick question? Am I being backed into a corner? And so I answered it exactly how I felt. I said, we've got a great document called the Bill of Rights, and the 10th Amendment to the Bill of Rights gives states rights, and it specifically reserves things to the state, and one of those is education. And by the federal government stepping in and telling us exactly how to do it, they're basically abandoning the 10th Amendment. And they're telling us that they are smarter than us and they know better, even though we have the legal right to educate people our own way. So the answer is, I'm not a huge fan of the No Child Left Behind program. And an entire group of high school seniors and teachers broke into applause right there.
And speaking of which, since you're talking about education here, Mike, and I don't know how much Nevada participated in it, but how do you feel about the voucher program that is basically a national thing and is about to be phased out?
I am a huge fan of educational choice, and vouchers are probably the premier vehicle for educational choice. Now, Nevada participates in it zero. We do not at all. Except, like everybody else, isn't this fascinating that people fight the voucher programs in almost every state? The administration and the bureaucracy fight a voucher program. Yet at the college level, we essentially have a federal voucher program. You can get a Pell Grant and take that to any school you want to. It's essentially a federal voucher in college, but heaven forbid we have something in our states at the school level. Here in Nevada, we have poor choice. We have very few. We've got about 22 charter schools in the whole state. We have 17 empowerment schools in Clark County.
What is in the empowerment school, by the way?
Thank you for asking. An empowerment school is an experiment. It's an experiment here, even though it's worked elsewhere, where they reverse the flow of money. Here's how the school system works in Clark County. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of schools. We have a huge school district. I think it's the 4th or 5th largest in the country. The state collects all of the money. The money goes into central administration, and then central administration doles the money out to each individual school based on their budget.
Mm-hmm.
In an empowerment system, the money goes straight to the school, and then the school in turn purchases exactly the services they need. Now, they can purchase those services from central administration if they're being provided efficiently, but if they're not, they can purchase them somewhere else. And they don't have to do it exactly the way central tells them to. And it is a wonderful system. Let me give you an example. Local high school here does their own newsletter. The kids write the articles, lay out, put the photographs in, and publish the newsletter, and then it has to go to print. They get ready to go to print. They send a request over to Central. Central administration says that'll be $4,000 to print that, and they call down the street to Kinko's, and Kinko's says it'll be $2,000. They use Kinko's. That's the way free market is supposed to work. The most efficient system.
Indirectly, it kind of teaches the kids at the high school. It's kind of a crash course in like Business 101.
It's not indirectly. That's exactly what it is. It not only the kids, but the administration. Everybody learns. They follow all the rules. If the program says you have to have this much teacher training, well, they can go to admin and get the teacher training, or they can find it elsewhere and hire and purchase teacher training how they want to. But here's the problem with it. If all the schools in the district don't become empowerment schools, well, then the inefficiencies at administration will stay in place.
So it's either everybody gets on board or nobody gets on board.
Yes, and right now we've got about 5% of our schools here in Clark County are empowerment schools, but that's just the start. It either jumps from 5 to 100%, or it'll probably fail, simply because the administration has no reason to become more efficient if everybody doesn't force them to. So we've got that system. We've got a few charter schools, but we have no vouchers at all here in Nevada. That would be a dream come true to have vouchers. But we'll get our choices in one step at a time.